Welcome back, dear viewers, to another Reddit video. In today's video, we find an anti-Karen, if you could believe those exist. Our first post is by Colorful Soul. That's so cute. Female coworker of mine was miserable at work one day. I asked her what was wrong. She told me it was her anniversary and she knew her husband had forgotten. She had preteen girls at home during summer vacation. I knew her home phone number, pre-cell phone era. I called her home phone and one kid picked up. I explained to the kid who I was and that she needed to call Dad at work and remind him it was Mom and Dad's anniversary. And don't tell Mom or Dad I called. The next day, she was all smiles. Gosh, he did remember. Brought home flowers and took her to dinner. Mission accomplished. Not a word was ever said about this. Until 6 years later, when she left the company. She gave me a hug and a farewell luncheon and whispered, "My kids ratted you out. Thank you." Down in the comments, Mofa9277 adds, "When I recently retired, a coworker said he needed to thank me because the Hollywood Bowl tickets I had given him more than 20 years ago turned out to be his first date with his wife." Our next post is by IZB. Guy gets to feel like a kid again instead of being seen as creepy. I live in an apartment complex that has a bunch of little kids. During the original lockdowns, I would go outside to walk around and get out, and one day, one of the kids launched a soccer ball my direction, and without thinking, I headed the ball back to them, and they said something like, "Whoa, do it again, do it again." And I was hesitant at first because I'm bald, 31 years old, and have a large beard playing with a bunch of little kids. I told them, "I'm not sure your parents would want you playing with a stranger, but you guys have fun." I didn't realize their mom was sitting inside the window, open, watching them, and I hear her yell, "Please, kick the ball around with them if you want to. I know you live across the hall. I see you all the time." I proceeded to play soccer with them for about 2 hours and had a blast. Now, every Friday without fail, a group of kids knock on my door at 6 p.m. because they know I'm off work and want me to play some kind of game with them. We played freeze tag last Friday. It was dope. I cheated and climbed a tree so they couldn't get me. Makes me feel like a kid again, and it's truly a highlight of my week. The mom also brings me fresh homemade tamales at least every 2 weeks and refuses to let me pay for them. Down in the comments, Forte Base adds, "I'm 37, and I'm still a huge kid. You get more responsibilities and stuff, it's true, but you also get a lot more freedom too. I'm married and have a wife and dog to care for. But I also play D&D every week with my friends. I'm in a tennis league. I buy whatever games I feel like. It's not all bad, I promise." Our next post is by Esperat. Japan, just Japan. A young woman caught a home run ball hit by Japanese MLB star Shohei Ohtani during the World Baseball Classic, and someone next to her wanted to see the ball, and it eventually got passed around the stadium to whoever wanted to see it, and it was returned to her after everyone got their turn. Marsupialize in the comments adds, "First time I visited there, someone left a 1,000 yen bill on a train seat and it sat there for 3 days and even wound up on the news each morning until the person came back to claim it." Below that, Access 153 adds, "I was in Kuala Lumpur during the outbreak of the pandemic on vacation, as it was breaking out, and drew out about 200 USD for various cash touristy things from an ATM. It all came out in local currency. I grabbed my card, forgot the cash, and 30 seconds later got chased down by an early 40s local who returned all of it to me." Good people being good people. We need more of it everywhere. Our next post is by Swerwin. This guy cleaned up an entire park by himself. "I did it! Yes! Finally! 103 days, 103 hikes, 103 buckets of trash. Today, after walking to our waterfalls and back, I failed to find enough trash to fill half my bucket, let alone the entire thing. I think I have successfully cleaned up my entire park." Down in the comments, Deleted adds, "Great stuff. I did a similar thing on a much smaller scale near my old home where I walked my dog. Every day, I would pick up a handful of litter and drop it in the bin. It was just a small thing every day. No real effort. I just made it my mission every walk to pick up some trash on my way. A little every day. After a few months, it started to change noticeably. And most importantly, I found that when an area is clean, people typically don't tend to litter as much. It's as if the existence of litter there already means that the litterer feels more permission to just add one more. After a year or so, I got more ambitious. I started climbing into bushes and up the less accessible slopes of the creek looking for rubbish, until all of it was pristine. A few years later, sometime after I'd moved away from that house, when I returned, I was so happy to see my little area I had adopted was still clean. So proud of that. Our next post is by Bella3774. It's the little things. June 27th, 2020. Dear Sarah, this is a little bit awkward, but I've waited a really long time to pass this on to you. My wife and I came in for haircuts shortly before Christmas of last year. My wife was suffering from dementia, and you treated her as if you've been working with dementia patients all your life. You let us sit next to each other, and when it came time for her to cut, you turned her chair towards me so I could watch her expression as you cut her hair. It turned out even better than I thought it would. Sadly, she died in March, and that haircut was one of the last best moments of her life. She felt so pretty. She visited the mirror in her bathroom several times during the day and would come out beaming. To see her so happy was priceless. Looking back, it was likely one of dozens of haircuts you gave that day, but one which revitalized a woman's sense of self in her singular beauty. I hope you always realize the power of your profession. It's so easy to take things like that for granted. Sincerely, a grateful customer. Down in the comments, RubyChan11 adds, back before the quarantine, if I received what I considered exceptional service at a restaurant, I always made sure to ask the server if their manager was available for me to compliment them, along with giving an extra tip lol. Their smile was always priceless. The managers usually appreciated it too, I think. I'm sure they're so used to getting only complaints. That's amazing. You're like an anti-Karen. We need more anti-Karens out there somewhere. I mean, just think about it. The world would be a significantly better place if we could counteract the Karens. Remember to be an anti-Karen out there. Thank you, dear listeners, for tuning in to another Reddit video. If you would like to, click another video. And if you would be so kind as to like and subscribe. Thank you very much.